Honestly, guys, I think this will honestly be my comeback. Like, really this time. I know in the last video I said
I'll see you guys next week or next year, whatever the fuck. Maybe tomorrow. I'll be playing Painted Town Red for my next video. That's all I know.
For starters, I'd like to say that I wanted to play Minecraft while making this video because Minecraft is just a very chill game. You don't have to do anything. And, I mean, I feel like they're dicks when I play Minecraft. We have zombies, Black Ops 3 zombies, because my Minecraft isn't working. And I mean, this has zombies, and this is their ice and drag, so it has bows. It's basically The Walking Dead, but with lightning. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Days gone by. Honestly, this episode it's not bad. I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's just, it doesn't make my top 30. Maybe pushing top 25, but definitely not anywhere near the best episode. But it's nowhere near the worst either. And I just think this beginning is really not mediocre either, because I mean, I don't mind revisiting this episode. It's just I choose not to. So anyways, the way I will be rating every episode is by pros and cons. I'm not gonna break down every single episode on what happens. Go watch recap or whatever that channel's called. The pros of this episode are definitely Morgan. I love how they really do a lot with Morgan in the whole show. Like, I read that somewhere in the comics he just gets killed by Michonne pretty quick. Not right away, but you know, it's just...
Did you take one of my protein bars?
No.
He's definitely not as fleshed out as he is in the show. And speaking of Morgan, his son Dante, I have this kind of fan fiction that I think I should put out there because it's probably the only time I'm going to mention Dante in the whole video. And maybe the entire rating of the Walking Dead series, because this is the only time he comes out. But I think he should have met Carl and Sophia, and I think the three of them should have been some sort of trio. I mean, that would have just been really cool. You know, they should have been like the next generation of the Walking Dead.
And then she was just on him.
By the way, in case you're fucking brain dead, this video is obviously gonna have massive spoilers for the entire show. And obviously, since we're talking about episode 1, we have to talk about Rick. Now, Rick is one of the best characters in TV history. I think a lot of people will probably agree with me on that, and I wish everybody was one. Anyways, but this as his introduction is a really solid introduction to Rick Grimes. Honestly, for pros, I think that might just be it. Obviously, some technical stuff. Makeup is really good in this whole show. The walkers look disgusting. Acting is always really good. You can honestly always feel that every actor in this show gives it their all constantly. And then writing, I feel like the writing in this show is extremely bipolar. I'm not even going to try to touch that subject. There's some episodes with incredible writing, and some episodes have writing that... Now, the cons of this episode are, like, there's really just nothing to say about this episode. Like, it doesn't have that much pros and cons. I mean, episode 1 rating, 8.5 out of 10. You know, really not bad at all. But episode 2 Guts is, I think, only slightly better. I'm not gonna go on a whole episode 1 hate train and say that episode 2 is way better. But I mean, it's better. And the massive pro that I'm gonna give it is obviously its introduction to Glenn. There's also an introduction to basically every character that we know throughout the whole show. Got an introduction to Lori, Dale, Carl. Oh, we also got an introduction to Shane in episode 1. Forgot to mention that. And cons of this episode would be, I just really have nothing to say about this entire season. It's a start. It's a pretty good start to one of the best shows in TV history. But I mean, there's just really not much that you could say about this first season. I think in the later videos I'll start being more analytical and more critical about everything. But I mean, in this video I just am honestly kind of blank. And next up we have episodes 3 and 4. And these are 2 episodes that I'm gonna rate together because I think that you just have to watch these 2 back to back. You know, with most Walking Dead episodes, I could watch it, take a break, and then, you know, watch the next one. But for these 2, I just have to watch them back to back because I mean, they're basically the same episode. So the pros of this episode would probably have to be introduction to the longest lasting and best character in The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. And we also get an introduction to Carol.
Boring!
Them going back to Atlanta is honestly a pretty it's a pretty dumb plot point, if I'm being completely honest. I didn't really like the fact that they went back. The introduction to the Vatos was it was definitely something.
I'm gonna chop up your boy. I'm gonna feed him to my dogs.
And then later on, they returned back to Atlanta, or that little campsite they had near Atlanta with all the guns. And I mean, that scene was really good. I liked it. I'm gonna rate these 2 episodes. Oh, wait, actually, I've been forgetting to rate episodes this whole video. Episode 2 rating, 8.8 out of 10. You know, as I said, it's better than the first one, but it's really not by a lot. And now we have episodes 3 and 4. They're worse than the first 2, but also not by a lot. Most of these episodes just blend in together. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10. And next up we have my least favorite episode of this whole season, Wildfire. I think that's the name. I mean, it's a really forgettable episode. If anything, I'll just rate it right now. It's a 6.9 out of 10. Jim dies.
My final.
And now we have the final episode of this season, which has been an extremely okay season. And I still haven't made my bowl. TS19. Now, weirdly enough, this is the episode I watched the most when I was not little, but you know, like I'd say middle school, like around there. Because, well, I would watch it a lot in the pre-Alexandria days, mainly just because seeing them in a well-lit building, just it was so weird, because the only episodes on Netflix at the time were seasons 1 through 4, where they're either in the woods, in a farm, or on a prison, and most of the lighting is natural. And pros of this episode are I like the beginning scene a lot. It's honestly the strongest beginning to an episode in this whole season, and I really like it, so I give a lot of props for that. Cons are
Okay, stop. Listen.
and another con would probably be Jackie stays behind and nobody cares.
I'm saying, sweetie. Look, that's insane. No, it's completely insane.
T-Dog was like, hey, you can't stay behind, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna stay here and die. And he was like, all right. But when Andrea decides to stay behind,
I'm staying too.
I stay too. He's right.
Rating for TS19, 7.3 out of 10. It's better than 3, 4, and 5, but not better than 1 and 2. And now the rating overall for this whole season. Fuck, I forgot to write it down. So basically what I did was I did it with a calculator, and I put it all down on my phone before I even thought to make this video. I just decided to go back to my notes, because I mean, I forgot that I could do that. Overall rating for this season, 7.6 out of 10. It's not the best, not the worst, it's just whatever. Okay, goodbye everybody.